FutureLab is an online mentoring community. So far, we have around 4,000 mentors. We help fresh graduates, job seekers that are interested in exploring the digital space, connect to these kind of mentors to help them get career guidance, to help them land a job. The problem that we're solving at FutureLab is really much structural unemployment. So for those that don't know what structural unemployment is, this is when the talent coming out of universities don't match the talent needed in companies and the industry. And this has really been accelerated due to the pandemic, where companies have realized they need to go digital. So a lot of the roles in companies are having a tech or digital aspect to it. HR has been digitalized, operations, sales, marketing, business development. So now a lot of companies are looking for talent that fits the future development of these companies. So where FutureLab comes in is that we actually link mentors, working professionals in these companies to universities. So when these students graduate, we can actually mentor them and teach them what are these roles. Like what do companies looking for? What skills do they need? What tools are they using? So that we can help increase the chances of their employability, and also helping them find a company that they will have fun working for as well. So FutureLab was started because of my own struggles graduating and didn't know what I wanted to do with myself after graduation. I was looking at management consulting as a job. I approached people on LinkedIn back in 2012. No one on LinkedIn replied me. I used to go to the company website. I used to read it as a fresh graduate. I didn't really understand what the companies were doing. And then I ended up in a local forum called Laureate, where I ended up in this career help section of the website. Started speaking to random people, trying to figure out how to get into management consulting. And that entire struggle of trying to change my career path after studying was the real reason why I started building FutureLab. And this is the idea that stuck with me and the problem that I really wanted to solve. Back in when I was trying to raise funds back in 2014, 2015, it was all about the grabs, the logistic delivery services. No one really thought about education. And I think mentorship was, education is one thing, but mentorship is another thing, where you get people to mentor another person, right? So I think one of the biggest barriers we had was like, how do we educate the community about mentorship? How can I convince investors that we could monetize this way of teaching? So that was the first barrier. When Cradle gave us our first 150,000 ringgit and we built FutureLab, this is when we really started proving that this idea could really work. My number one priority for FutureLab is definitely scaling FutureLab to the whole of Southeast Asia. We have started doing this year. We started doing mentoring initiatives in Indonesia, and it's growing at a way faster pace than Malaysia. So we know that Indonesia is going to be our next market. So my priority this year is really making sure that all our processes has been documented, making sure my team here has been empowered to lead the future teams, and really getting ready to expand into Indonesia in 2023. Definitely, I would spend more time structuring out the product, right? Because I think as a young founder, it's very much just build code, push out the product. Because what happens now is that the infrastructure of the product is not optimized for the scalability. So that means that we need to come back where we are now and rebuild the product to enable it to really scale. And I think this is not just my problem. I think there's a lot of startups that build products like this. Yeah, I think we really want to build this digital ecosystem, right? So working with universities around the region, helping develop the talents to help them get jobs in Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, working remotely in the digital space, and also start working with high schools as well. So not only just for jobs, but also helping people pick the right degree before they go to university. Because I think in Southeast Asia, we're very influenced by our parents, uncle, auntie. It's always the doctor, lawyer, engineer. But actually, the future of the world, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting roles that students just need to know about so that they can actually pursue it at university and eventually their full-time job. I think what we want to create is that everyone has their own career path, right? You might not be so good at science, but there's so many different areas that you can be good at. So what FutureLab wants to come in and do, like, just show you all these kind of different opportunities. Whether you're STEM or TVET, there's so much very interesting opportunities for you to what you can do and what you can study. And I think with parents, of course parents want the best for you, but sometimes they don't know what is out there. So for our job, we also want to come in and also educate the parents, right? What kind of career path they can take. Maybe sometimes you don't even have enough money to go to university, but there's always new alternatives of university that you can learn these skills, even online, right? So there are free courses you can take that can open different pathways for you. But with nowadays, like, unless, how are people going to know these kind of opportunities? So for FutureLab, we want to play that role in bringing industry into schools, helping educate not only kids, students, but teachers and also the principals, right? Or like how exciting these kind of future roles are. And we're definitely moving towards that direction as a society. So for FutureLab, our main focus is SDG 8, which is economic growth. This is where we really want to build talent to help enable companies to scale up, but also build entrepreneurs that are contributing to society, contributing to the world, by providing them mentors to scale up their business, but also the talent they need to really build a tech company. Actually, we got into the social impact challenge accelerator by Magic and UNDP. So we've been really looking at all these kind of key metrics we need to track as FutureLab develops and see whether we're really making that impact. So one of the things that we've been tracking is like how many people can we actually help them get jobs, and also for entrepreneurs, after mentorship, how fast can their business grow. The next few years for FutureLab is really making mentorship a word that everyone understands in the whole of Southeast Asia. Really working with not only the universities but high schools and companies to build this digital learning ecosystem, and allowing our mentees to get jobs and work remotely for different companies anywhere in the world. For us, the long-term vision of FutureLab is that I want to build a company that lasts over 100 years. I want my kids to be able to use FutureLab. I want my grandkids to use FutureLab when they're deciding what university to go to and what job they want to go to in the end. Because the world will always keep evolving. Jobs will keep evolving as well. So really making sure that we build a system that really can take information from industry and bring it back to the young people when you're 15, 16, 17 years old, starting your journey, right? You need to build that proper feedback loop from the world to you so that you can pick and choose your own career and really build a meaningful life for yourself. I feel like this is always everyone's advice, but find a problem you actually want to solve that you're passionate about, because building a company is very hard. You'll likely fail, so you might as well find something that can carry you through those really challenging times, because you will face those challenging times, and if you don't really care about what you're doing, it's so easy to give up. Don't lose focus on it, right? Remember the problem, be flexible in how you solve it, because your solution can change over time. Another piece of advice for entrepreneurs is also thinking of scaling. I think people talk about scaling all the time, but as a young entrepreneur, scaling also means how you build your product to scale, right? I think spending that extra time to just look into the product, speaking to someone a lot more experienced than you to just go through your infrastructure will save you a lot of time in the future, because sometimes when you start a company, you might not have the right resources to have a really pro developer, a really good tech architecture person. But speaking to mentors, speaking to someone more experienced can really give you clues and give you the right structure to set up your company, so you don't need to rebuild your product later on in the future when you really are scaling. Impactful, innovative, and blue.